On his way home with grocery bags, he caught a little alien girl staring at them. David carried his grocery bags carefully as he walked down the quiet street. The evening sun was low, casting long shadows across the pavement, and the air smelled faintly of bread and fresh vegetables from the market. It had been a normal day for him, one of those ordinary days when nothing exciting happened, and he was looking forward to reaching his small apartment, putting the groceries away, and relaxing with a cup of tea. The bags were heavy, but not too much for him to manage. He shifted them from hand to hand, feeling the comforting weight of normal life in his grip. As he rounded a corner near his apartment building, he caught a movement out of the corner of his eye. He stopped and blinked, trying to make sense of what he saw. A small figure was crouched near a trash bin, its head tilted up toward him. At first he thought it was a child, but the glow around it made him pause. The figure's eyes were unusually large, almost too big for a human face, and they shone with a soft, otherworldly light. Its skin had a faint, luminescent quality, and its movements were quick and precise, almost too light for a human child. David froze, unsure whether to approach or to walk away. The little figure stepped closer, tilting its head and staring directly at the grocery bags. It was clear that it was curious. David's mind raced. Could this be some kind of prank, or maybe a costume from a nearby event? But the way it moved, the way it watched him so intently, felt natural, not staged. He carefully set one of the grocery bags down on the pavement and raised his hands slightly, showing he meant no harm. "Hello," he said softly, his voice unsure. The figure twitched its head as if it understood him, but it did not respond. It merely took a small step closer, its glowing eyes never leaving the bags. David's heart beat faster, not with fear, but with a strange excitement he could not explain. He had read stories about alien encounters and strange creatures in distant lands, never thinking he would see one in his own quiet neighborhood. The figure reached a hand toward the fruit in the bag, apples and oranges, and paused, unsure how to take one. David hesitated, then picked up an apple and held it out. "You can have it," he said gently. The small being looked at the apple, then at him, and slowly reached out to touch it. Its fingers were delicate, almost translucent, and they barely made a sound as they closed around the fruit. For a moment, it seemed to smile, a tiny curl of its glowing lips. Then, almost instantly, it vanished in a shimmer of light, leaving David standing alone on the street with the grocery bags and a strange token that had fallen where the little figure had been. He picked it up and turned it over in his hand. The object was small, round, and smooth, with a faint hum beneath his fingers, as though it contained some hidden energy. David could not stop staring at it as he walked home. Every step felt surreal. Nothing in his ordinary life had prepared him for this. When he finally reached his apartment, he carefully placed the groceries on the counter and examined the token again. Its glow pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, and when he set it near the fruit he had offered the small being, the apples shimmered lightly, as though touched by some unseen hand. David's curiosity grew stronger. He did not know what the token meant or why it had reacted this way, but he could feel that it was important, a piece of something much larger than himself. That night, sleep came reluctantly. David kept imagining the little figure, its wide, glowing eyes, and the way it had disappeared into thin air. He wondered where it had gone, why it had appeared to him, and whether it would come back. He thought about calling someone, maybe the authorities, but something told him that this was not a situation for anyone else. It was private, mysterious, and deeply personal. And somehow, he felt responsible for the small being in ways he could not yet understand. The next morning, David took the token with him as he walked to the local cafe. He hoped that seeing it in the daylight would reveal more. The streets were busier now, people hurrying to work, cars passing by, but David barely noticed. His eyes kept darting to the token, watching for any sign that it might respond. When he set it on the table next to his coffee, the token glowed faintly, and a small holographic map appeared above it. David leaned closer, amazed. The map showed a location near the outskirts of the city, marked by a glowing symbol he could not identify. He felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Could this be a message from the small figure, or a clue to its origin? David finished his coffee quickly and left, feeling a growing determination to understand what was happening. He followed the map, walking through streets he had never noticed, passing abandoned warehouses and empty lots. The symbol on the map seemed to shift slightly as he moved, guiding him like a living thing. Eventually, David reached a place that made his heart race. A building that looked like an ordinary warehouse from the outside shimmered subtly, almost as if it were bending light around it. The small figure appeared again, crouched at the edge of the building. It motioned for him to follow. David hesitated for a moment, considering the risk, but then he remembered the token, the strange map, and the sense that he was meant to come here. He stepped forward. Inside the building, everything changed. The walls glowed faintly with colors he could not name, and strange symbols floated in the air, moving and rearranging themselves. Machines hummed softly, filling the room with a vibration that he could feel in his chest. David realized he was standing inside a hidden alien vessel, unlike anything he had ever imagined. The small figure guided him to a console that seemed to respond to his presence, the holographic displays lighting up as he approached. David felt a rush of wonder and nervousness. He had always been good with puzzles and problem-solving, but this was beyond anything he had ever faced. He carefully touched the controls, experimenting with gestures and movements he did not fully understand. To his surprise, the console responded, displaying images of stars, planets, and alien ships in motion. He realized the little figure had brought him here for a reason, perhaps to help, perhaps to learn. Hours passed as David explored the ship. He learned to communicate with the small figure through gestures and symbols, discovering that it understood some of his intentions, even if it could not speak in human language. He saw areas of the ship that were fragile, systems that were running inefficiently, and he felt an instinctive urge to help. Using his simple Earth logic, he began to manipulate the controls in ways the aliens had not anticipated. The small figure watched him, its eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. By the time evening came, David had achieved something remarkable. He had managed to stabilize a section of the ship that seemed critical, using nothing more than basic problem-solving and intuition. The alien figure chirped softly, a sound like wind through crystal, and it reached out to touch his hand. David felt a connection, an unspoken understanding that humans could offer something unique, even to beings far more advanced than themselves. As he prepared to leave the ship, the little figure handed him a small device, no bigger than his palm. It pulsed with soft light, a token of trust and recognition. David understood that his life had changed forever. He had encountered something extraordinary, something beyond his imagination, and in the process, he had discovered that even the most ordinary human could shine in the presence of the extraordinary. Walking home under the darkening sky, grocery bags in hand, David felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. He knew the adventure was only beginning. Somewhere out there, beyond the familiar streets and buildings of his city, lay a world full of mysteries waiting to be understood. And for the first time, he felt certain that humans had a place in that vast universe, not as passive observers, but as capable, resourceful, and courageous beings. When he reached his apartment, David placed the groceries on the counter and looked at the token once more. It glowed faintly, as if acknowledging him. He smiled, knowing that tomorrow he would follow the map again. He would see where it led, and he would continue to prove that humanity, even in its simplest form, could face the unknown with courage and ingenuity. The night was quiet, the city asleep, but David could feel a small pulse of energy from the token. It was a reminder that the universe was much bigger than he had ever imagined, and that his journey was just beginning. David woke up early the next morning, still thinking about the small alien girl and the glowing token. He could not sleep well, and his mind kept turning over the events of the previous evening. The token lay on the kitchen table, glowing faintly in the morning light. It seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, as if urging him to act. David knew he could not ignore it. He had to follow the map again to see where it would lead and to understand why the little alien had trusted him. He packed a small backpack with essentials: water, some food, a notebook, and a flashlight. The grocery bags waited in the corner, a reminder of his ordinary life, which now seemed distant and quiet compared to the adventure he was about to continue. As he stepped out of his apartment, the city seemed calm and unaware of what was happening just beyond its streets. He checked the token. It projected the holographic map again, and the glowing symbol pointed to the warehouse where he had first met the alien girl. The shimmer of the building seemed even more unusual in daylight. When he arrived, the small figure was already waiting for him. It waved, its glowing eyes bright with recognition. David smiled and carefully approached. The alien girl gestured for him to follow, and he did, feeling both nervous and excited. Inside, the ship looked the same as before, but now David noticed details he had missed the first time. Strange machines lined the walls, some moving gently as if alive. Panels displayed alien symbols, some rotating slowly, others flickering with light. The air had a faint hum, vibrating softly in his chest. The little alien led him to the console where he had stabilized the system the night before. It pulsed gently, as if waiting for him. David reached out and touched the controls, and immediately the holographic displays lit up. He saw images of planets, spaceships, and distant stars. He felt a surge of curiosity. The aliens had technology far beyond human understanding, yet some systems were inefficient. He realized that they valued skill and cleverness, even if it came from a human. The alien girl pointed at one of the floating displays, which showed a large section of the ship with systems malfunctioning. David studied it carefully. He had no formal training in alien technology, but he had experience with problem-solving, with figuring out things quickly using common sense. He began touching the panels, adjusting lights, buttons, and levers. To his surprise, the system responded. The lights stabilized, and the hum of the ship grew steady. The little alien chirped softly, its sound like wind through glass, and seemed happy. David realized he was not just helping the ship. He was communicating with the alien girl, learning how they worked, and discovering that humans could solve problems in ways even advanced beings had not considered. He smiled at the thought. Perhaps humans were underestimated. Perhaps this little being and its people had never imagined a human could adapt so quickly to alien technology. As the morning passed, David explored more of the ship. He found rooms filled with strange objects, machines that floated in midair, tools that glowed with energy, and displays showing star maps with lines connecting planets he had never heard of. Some rooms seemed abandoned, while others had small robots moving quietly, performing tasks. David realized that the ship was not only a vessel, but also a laboratory and a library. It contained knowledge and tools beyond human imagination. The alien girl led him to a room that seemed fragile, with panels flickering and some lights dim. She gestured urgently, and David understood that something needed immediate attention. Using his logic and careful observation, he began examining the panels. He noticed patterns, sequences that seemed inefficient, and used simple methods to correct them. Slowly, the lights brightened, the hum of the system steadied, and the room became fully operational. The alien girl looked at him with what he could only describe as admiration. It was not a human expression, but he understood it perfectly. Hours passed quickly. David lost track of time as he worked, discovering that even with minimal understanding, he could make a difference. He repaired small malfunctions, optimized the energy flows, and even managed to stabilize a section of the ship that seemed critical for its navigation. Each time he fixed something, the alien girl responded with sounds and gestures, teaching him in return. It was a dialogue without words, a mutual understanding that transcended language. Eventually, the alien girl led him to the observation deck. David gasped as he saw the view outside. The city was below, ordinary and unaware, but above, the sky shimmered with movement. Small alien crafts floated silently, scanning the earth, observing humans. David felt a shiver run down his spine. The aliens were watching, studying, and he realized that humans were not alone in the universe, and perhaps they were being judged. He turned to the little alien girl. She tilted her head and made a soft sound. David understood. She wanted him to know that humans could be more than they seemed. That simple acts of courage, creativity, and intelligence could change how advanced beings perceived them. It was a lesson he felt in his chest, like a warm light. He nodded, smiling. He did not need words to understand what he was learning. As the day progressed, David experimented further with the ship's controls. He learned that some systems responded to gestures, others to thought patterns he could mimic with simple movements. The little alien girl helped him, showing how to align energy flows, stabilize shields, and activate communications. He discovered that humans had an advantage in unpredictability. While the aliens had advanced knowledge, David's solutions came from experience, intuition, and imagination. During this time, David also noticed patterns of the alien fleet beyond the ship. Some craft seemed hostile, larger, and moving toward Earth in formations that were unfamiliar. He realized that the situation could be dangerous if these beings were not careful. The little alien girl seemed aware of his concern, chirping softly and gesturing toward the controls. David understood that she wanted him to help. He was just a human, yet the aliens trusted him enough to make a difference. By evening, David had completed repairs and learned much about the ship's systems. He felt tired but proud. The alien girl led him to a small platform where a device floated. It glowed brightly and seemed to respond to his presence. When he touched it, the device projected a small map, showing distant stars and planets with connections he could not fully understand. He realized that he now had knowledge that humans had never had before. It was a gift, a tool, and a responsibility all at once. David felt a sense of accomplishment. He had entered a world far beyond Earth, a place of advanced technology and intelligence, and he had proven that a human could contribute, even in ways the aliens had not expected. The little alien girl chirped, a sound like a soft bell, and seemed to celebrate with him. He smiled, feeling a bond forming, a connection between two beings from very different worlds. As night fell, David decided it was time to return to his apartment. He carried the device carefully, aware that it held knowledge and secrets beyond human understanding. The little alien girl followed him to the entrance, waving goodbye. David felt a pang of sadness but also gratitude. He had learned so much, and he knew this was only the beginning of his journey. He had proven that humans could be clever, resourceful, and brave. Walking home under the dark sky, David reflected on everything he had seen and done. He thought about how small and ordinary humans might seem compared to alien civilizations, but he realized that Earth's people had unique qualities: curiosity, ingenuity, and the courage to act in situations they did not fully understand. He felt a sense of pride and hope. Perhaps humans were not only part of the universe, they could be important. When he reached his apartment, David set the device on the kitchen counter. It pulsed softly, a reminder of the adventure and the responsibilities ahead. He looked out the window, imagining the stars beyond the city, wondering what challenges and discoveries awaited him. The little alien girl had shown him that humans had potential beyond Earth, and he could feel it in his bones. He was ready for whatever came next. That night, David could not sleep, but this time it was not worry, it was anticipation. He imagined exploring the stars, learning more about the aliens, and discovering the true extent of human potential. The token glowed beside him, and he felt its energy like a gentle heartbeat. It reminded him that the universe was bigger than he had ever known, and that humans, even in their simplicity, could shine in ways that others did not expect. David closed his eyes with a smile, knowing that tomorrow he would return to the alien ship. He would continue to learn, to help, and to prove that humanity had a place in the stars. And somewhere in the quiet of the city, under the calm night sky, a small light flickered as if watching him, as if encouraging him to go further. The journey had only begun, but David felt ready. He was no longer just a man carrying groceries. He was a human capable of remarkable things. David woke to the faint glow of the token on his kitchen counter. Its soft pulsing felt like a heartbeat, reminding him that the adventure was far from over. He had slept lightly, dreams filled with strange stars and distant planets. Today, he knew, would bring new challenges. The device he had carried from the alien ship rested beside the token, humming faintly as though alive. David understood it held knowledge, but also responsibility. He could feel the weight of it pressing gently against his mind, encouraging him to act. After a quick breakfast, David packed a small bag with essentials, just as he had before, and stepped out into the morning streets. The city was waking slowly, the usual noise and bustle beginning to rise. He kept his eyes on the token, checking its faint holographic projection. The glowing map had changed overnight. It now displayed the alien ship he had visited, but additional symbols had appeared, symbols that suggested movement, strategy, and even possible conflict. David's pulse quickened. Something was coming. When he reached the warehouse, the small alien girl was waiting. She was perched near the entrance, glowing faintly in the morning sun. David waved, and she waved back. She moved quickly to lead him inside, gesturing urgently toward the central console. As they entered, David noticed something new. Panels that had been calm yesterday now flickered rapidly. Systems he had stabilized were showing warning signals. He approached the console, and holograms of distant ships and planets filled the room. Some ships were clearly alien, larger than the vessel he had visited, moving in coordinated patterns. David realized immediately that this was no ordinary exercise. The alien fleet near Earth was approaching fast, and their patterns suggested strategy. They were not just observing, they were preparing for action. He glanced at the small alien girl. She tilted her head and made a sound like a soft chime. David understood her meaning. He was to help. Humans might be underestimated by the aliens, but he had already proven that intelligence and creativity could make a difference. He studied the holographic display, noticing patterns and weaknesses that the aliens might not see. Some of the larger ships were moving too predictably, relying on algorithms and routines. David thought of Earth strategies, traps, distractions, and improvisation. He began adjusting small systems on the ship they were in, rerouting energy to the shields and sensors, creating a pattern that mimicked complexity but relied on simple logic. The alien girl chirped softly and gestured as if approving, encouraging him to continue. Hours passed as David worked. He moved carefully, avoiding damage to the ship while learning to anticipate the fleet's movements. He realized the aliens had underestimated humans in one crucial way: unpredictability. A human could improvise in ways no advanced algorithm could calculate. David smiled quietly to himself. Earth's ingenuity might not be obvious to the stars, but it had value. The alien girl seemed to sense his thoughts, chirping in soft rhythms as if acknowledging his success. As the day wore on, David noticed more anomalies. Smaller ships were breaking formation, approaching Earth more quickly than expected. It was clear that some factions of the alien fleet were not aligned. The small alien girl pointed at the map, emphasizing these irregularities. David understood. If he could exploit the differences, he could create an advantage for Earth. He quickly devised a plan. Using the ship systems, he would create holographic decoys, patterns that mimicked a larger fleet, confusing the approaching ships. It was simple, but it relied on timing and precision. He activated the decoy systems, and the ship responded beautifully. Holograms of massive fleets appeared on the sensors, stretching across the view of distant planets. The approaching aliens would perceive a larger force than actually existed. David watched as the system pulsed, holding the hologram steady. The alien girl seemed amazed, her glowing eyes widening. For the first time, David felt the true scale of human potential. Even with minimal technology, he could influence events across the stars. Suddenly, a warning light flashed on one of the panels. One of the approaching ships had detected the decoys and was maneuvering to verify them. David's heart raced. He needed to act fast. He examined the ship's controls, improvising a simple maneuver using available energy flows. It was risky, but necessary. He redirected energy from non-essential systems to shields and propulsion, creating a sudden burst of speed that shifted the ship into a safer position. The approaching alien ship adjusted its path, uncertain, and then retreated. David exhaled slowly, relief flooding him. The little alien girl chirped in what felt like laughter. She gestured toward David, clearly recognizing his quick thinking. For a moment, David felt a profound connection. He had started as an ordinary man carrying groceries, and now he was actively defending Earth against a powerful alien force. He understood in that moment that humans were not just observers in the universe. They were participants, capable of courage, creativity, and cleverness beyond expectation. As the afternoon continued, David focused on strengthening the ship's defenses. He found additional vulnerabilities and improvised solutions. He rerouted power to defensive shields, adjusted sensor ranges, and even created small automated drones to act as distractions. Each improvement gave him confidence. Each success reinforced his belief in human ingenuity. The alien girl followed him closely, chirping, gesturing, and pointing, teaching him subtle aspects of the ship's systems. Together, they worked as a team, human and alien, blending intuition and technology in a way neither could accomplish alone. By evening, David noticed a new pattern on the holographic map. The hostile fleet had changed course, their formations slightly altered in response to the decoys. It was clear that his improvisations were having an effect. He realized that humans, unpredictability, and resourcefulness were creating real advantages. The little alien girl chirped proudly, and for a moment, David felt a spark of triumph. He had done more than he could have imagined, but just as he was catching his breath, an alarm sounded sharply. A larger ship had detected the decoys and was now approaching rapidly, faster and more dangerous than the others. David's heart pounded. He had to think fast. He analyzed the approaching ship's movement, calculating timing, distance, and potential energy output. He realized he could not rely solely on the ship's automated systems. He needed a human touch, intuition, improvisation, and courage. He reached for the control panel and began a series of adjustments. Using simple logic and careful observation, he created a sequence that would momentarily confuse the alien ship's sensors. The decoys flickered, and the approaching ship hesitated. David redirected energy to propulsion, creating a sudden burst of speed that allowed their vessel to move behind a natural asteroid cluster near Earth's orbit. The hostile ship lost visual contact, scanning in confusion. David exhaled, exhausted but triumphant. The little alien girl danced lightly on her feet, chirping in delight. David smiled, realizing that humans, even ordinary ones, could make a difference in cosmic-scale events. He had turned improvisation into strategy, fear into action, and ordinary human reasoning into something powerful. He understood that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but humans had qualities that could never be fully measured by technology or alien intelligence. Night fell over the city, but David remained on the ship with the little alien girl. He examined the holographic displays one last time for the day, checking that the approaching fleet was temporarily confused. He had done more than repair systems. He had actively influenced events, protecting Earth with nothing more than logic, intuition, and courage. The alien girl chirped and gestured toward him, a gesture of trust and admiration. David felt a surge of pride. He had begun as a simple man carrying groceries, and now he was defending his world. Finally, he prepared to return to Earth. The ship's systems were stabilized, the fleet temporarily misled, and the little alien girl had shown him that humans were capable of remarkable achievements. Walking home under the quiet stars, David reflected on everything that had happened. He realized that courage, ingenuity, and resourcefulness were what made humans special. He thought about how ordinary humans could accomplish extraordinary things when faced with challenges beyond their understanding. When he reached his apartment, David placed the device and token on the kitchen counter. He looked out the window at the quiet city, imagining the vast universe beyond. Somewhere among the stars, hostile forces had been delayed, not by advanced weapons, but by human creativity and courage. He felt proud, not arrogant, but deeply aware of the potential that humans had. That night, David could not sleep, but it was not worry, it was anticipation. He imagined the future, the challenges yet to come, and the adventures waiting for him. The little alien girl's trust, the token's soft glow, and the knowledge of the ship all reminded him that humans had a place in the stars. They were not merely observers, they were participants, capable of influencing events with cleverness and courage. David closed his eyes, feeling the weight and excitement of responsibility. He knew the universe was larger and more dangerous than he had imagined, but he also knew that humans had a power that others might not recognize. The power to think, to adapt, and to act in ways that could surprise even the most advanced civilizations. Tomorrow, he would return to the ship. There would be more challenges, more learning, and more opportunities to show that humans could rise to any occasion. As the city slept beneath the quiet night sky, a small light flickered far above, among the stars. It seemed to watch, as if acknowledging David's actions and the cleverness of humanity. The journey had only just begun, but David felt ready. He was no longer an ordinary man carrying groceries. He was a human capable of shaping the destiny of his world, and perhaps even beyond. David woke before dawn, the token glowing softly on his kitchen counter. He could feel its gentle pulse, as if urging him to act. The events of the past days weighed on him, not as fear but as responsibility. The alien girl had shown him that humans could do more than survive. They could shape outcomes in ways no one expected. Today, he knew, would demand more than careful observation. It would demand courage, quick thinking, and creativity. After packing a small bag with water, some snacks, and his notebook, David stepped into the quiet streets. The city slept, unaware of the events unfolding above it. The token projected the holographic map again. The alien ship, once stationary, now showed movement. Smaller crafts, which had been delayed by David's decoy tactics, were regrouping. But more alarming was the pattern of a larger vessel approaching rapidly. It was bigger, more dangerous, and clearly intended to test Earth's defenses. David's heart beat faster, but he did not hesitate. He had already seen what humans could accomplish, and he knew that ordinary ingenuity could make a difference even against the vastness of space. At the warehouse, the alien girl waited for him. Her glow seemed brighter than usual, and she moved quickly to guide him inside the ship. David followed, feeling a mixture of excitement and tension. As they entered, the hum of the ship vibrated strongly in his chest. Panels flickered with signals, displays filled the room, and the air shimmered with energy. He immediately noticed changes from the previous day. Systems were stressed, warning lights flashed intermittently, and the holographic map indicated approaching threats. The alien girl chirped urgently, pointing toward the larger approaching vessel. David understood. Action was required. He approached the central console and studied the holograms. The new ship's trajectory suggested precision and strategy. Its sensors would detect ordinary defenses easily. David realized he had to think creatively. Humans had a quality that the aliens might not predict: improvisation. He began experimenting, rerouting energy to shields in a pattern that seemed chaotic but was actually carefully timed. He set up sensor distortions, making the approaching ship perceive obstacles and empty space where none existed. The alien girl watched, chirping softly as if encouraging his plan. Hours passed in concentrated effort. David adjusted and readjusted systems, improvising with the tools and knowledge he had gained. He discovered additional weaknesses in the approaching vessel's behavior. It relied heavily on calculations and routines, predictable in its sophistication. David realized that simple tactics, applied cleverly, could disrupt its strategy. Using basic principles of timing and misdirection, he created false signals across the ship's sensors, confusing the approaching vessel's calculations. It slowed, hesitated, and changed course slightly. David felt a surge of satisfaction, but he knew the danger was not over. More ships could arrive, and this one was only the beginning. The alien girl guided him to another panel, showing energy flows that could be redirected. David understood immediately. By adjusting these flows, he could enhance the defensive systems further. He carefully manipulated the controls, increasing shield strength in critical areas while diverting excess power to propulsion. The ship responded beautifully, as if alive, stabilizing under his guidance. Suddenly, the approaching vessel detected the changes and attempted a direct scan. David's pulse quickened. He had to act quickly to prevent detection. Thinking fast, he created a temporary energy field that mimicked the ship's environment, making it appear empty and inactive. The alien girl chirped in excitement, her tiny hands gesturing encouragement. David's heart raced as he activated the field. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the larger ship adjusted its sensors and moved past them, uncertain and cautious. David exhaled slowly, relief and pride filling him, but there was no time to celebrate. The holographic map showed multiple smaller crafts converging on Earth's orbit. David realized that while the larger vessel had been distracted, the smaller fleet could still pose a significant threat. He studied their approach patterns and noticed subtle differences. Some moved in predictable formations, while others deviated slightly, perhaps due to coordination errors. David's mind raced. He had to exploit these differences quickly. Using the ship's systems, he created small autonomous drones. They were simple, not advanced, but effective. Each drone projected holographic images of a larger fleet, adding confusion to the approaching crafts. David positioned them strategically, using timing and positioning to exaggerate the perception of Earth's defenses. The alien girl chirped approvingly, guiding him in minor adjustments to maximize effectiveness. Slowly, the approaching fleet slowed, hesitated, and began to scatter. As the day progressed, David continued to work tirelessly. He rerouted energy flows, adjusted shields, and improvised additional defenses using the alien ship systems. He realized that humans had an advantage in unpredictability. While the aliens had advanced technology and knowledge, David's solutions were creative, fast, and unexpected. The alien girl seemed to sense this, chirping excitedly and gesturing toward him with glowing hands. David smiled, feeling a sense of pride in human potential. Even with success, the challenges increased. A second, larger vessel appeared on the holographic display. Its trajectory indicated an intent to test Earth's defenses further, perhaps to determine the strength and intelligence of its inhabitants. David knew he could not rely on the ship's automated systems alone. He had to apply human reasoning, combining observation, timing, and improvisation. He studied the vessel's patterns and noticed subtle gaps in its approach. Using the ship's energy flows, he created temporary blind spots, guiding the larger vessel away from Earth's orbit. Hours turned into evening as David worked without pause. He coordinated the smaller drones, adjusted shields, and maintained sensor distortions. The alien girl followed him closely, communicating in her unique way, showing him how to optimize the systems further. Together, they created a network of defenses that were clever, effective, and entirely human in their design. David felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Ordinary humans could be extraordinary when faced with challenges beyond their understanding. Finally, as night fell, the immediate threat appeared contained. The approaching fleet had been delayed, confused, and partially diverted. David allowed himself a moment to breathe. He had done more than repair a ship or stabilize systems. He had actively influenced the outcome of a potential conflict. The alien girl chirped proudly, her glow brighter than ever. She gestured toward David, showing recognition and trust. He felt a deep connection, realizing that this small being understood his effort and ingenuity. Walking home under the night sky, David reflected on what had happened. Humans might seem ordinary compared to the advanced aliens, but he realized that courage, creativity, and quick thinking were qualities that could never be fully measured by technology. He thought about how ordinary actions, observing carefully, thinking critically, acting decisively, could have extraordinary consequences. He had started as a man carrying groceries, and now he was defending Earth using his mind and intuition. Back in his apartment, David set the token and device on the counter. Its soft glow seemed to acknowledge his achievements. He looked out the window at the stars above, imagining the fleet that had been delayed, the ships that had been confused, and the knowledge he had gained. Humans were capable of remarkable things, and he had seen it firsthand. The small alien girl had trusted him, the ship had responded to him, and the approaching fleet had underestimated him, and Earth. That night, sleep did not come quickly, but David did not mind. He thought about the days ahead, the knowledge he had gained, and the challenges still waiting. He understood that humans were not merely bystanders in the universe. They were participants, capable of cleverness, bravery, and ingenuity that could influence events on a cosmic scale. He felt proud, not of himself alone, but of humanity, of the hidden potential that ordinary people could display when faced with extraordinary circumstances. As he lay in bed, the token pulsed faintly beside him. He imagined the little alien girl, somewhere on the ship, glowing softly as she watched the skies. He knew he would return to her, to the ship, and to the challenges ahead. He felt ready. Humanity had a place in the stars, and even one human could make a difference. The adventure was far from over, but David understood something essential. Courage, creativity, and quick thinking were just as powerful as any weapon or machine. The city slept beneath the quiet night sky, unaware of the events that had unfolded above it. Somewhere far beyond Earth, the alien fleet reconsidered its approach, slowed by the actions of one man and a small, glowing alien girl. David felt a thrill of hope. He had proven something important. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and capable of shaping outcomes in ways others could not anticipate. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but David was ready. He had learned to trust his instincts, to act with courage, and to use ingenuity to achieve results. The universe was vast, full of unknowns and perhaps dangers, but humans had qualities that could make a difference. He smiled as he drifted toward sleep, knowing that the small alien girl, the ship, and the fleet were all part of a larger story, and he was now a part of it. The token's soft glow pulsed in the darkness, a reminder that adventure awaited, that challenges would come, and that humans could rise to meet them. David closed his eyes, feeling both anticipation and confidence. The journey was far from over, but he knew one thing clearly. Humanity, even in its simplest form, could shine brightly among the stars. David woke to the soft glow of the token, its pulsing light a quiet reminder that the universe was waiting for him. The events of the past days were still vivid in his mind. The small alien girl, the ship, the approaching fleet, and the knowledge that humans could make a difference even among the stars. Today, he knew the adventure would reach its turning point. He felt a sense of anticipation and responsibility that filled him with both excitement and purpose. After a quick breakfast, he packed his bag carefully, making sure the token and the device were safe. As he stepped out into the quiet streets, the city seemed calm, ordinary, and unaware of the cosmic events that were about to unfold above it. David kept his eyes on the token. It projected the holographic map, showing the alien ship and the approaching fleet. The map indicated a larger threat than before, a coordinated strike that could reach Earth if not stopped. David's heart raced, but he did not hesitate. He had already proven that human ingenuity could achieve remarkable results, and he trusted himself to act again. When he arrived at the warehouse, the small alien girl was waiting for him, glowing brightly in the morning light. She chirped softly and gestured toward the ship. David followed without question. Inside, the hum of the ship vibrated in his chest, stronger than ever. Panels flickered with urgent signals, and the holographic displays showed the approaching fleet in motion. The small alien girl gestured urgently, pointing toward a massive ship at the center of the formation. It was larger, more powerful, and more coordinated than any he had faced before. David approached the central console, feeling the weight of responsibility. He studied the holograms carefully. The large ship's patterns were complex but not perfect. It relied heavily on its calculations and routines, expecting predictable results. David smiled quietly. Humans had something that machines and algorithms could not predict: creativity, adaptability, and intuition. He began rerouting energy to the ship's shields in ways that seemed irregular but were carefully timed. He created temporary sensor distortions, making the enemy ship miscalculate distance and trajectory. Hours passed in intense focus. David coordinated multiple systems at once, adjusting shields, propulsion, and decoys. The smaller drones he had created before were deployed strategically, projecting holograms that amplified the illusion of a larger fleet. The alien girl chirped proudly, guiding him with gestures. David realized that humans could accomplish extraordinary things when thinking carefully, reacting quickly, and acting with courage. Even one person, using simple logic and creativity, could influence events on a galactic scale. As the day continued, the larger alien ship approached, moving faster and more dangerously than before. David studied its sensors, anticipating its moves. He saw a slight flaw, a timing error that, if exploited, could create a gap in the attack. Using the ship's energy flows, he created a temporary field that reflected the approaching ship's sensors back on itself, causing confusion. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter, clearly impressed. David's heart pounded as he activated the field, and for a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the massive ship hesitated, scanning in uncertainty, unsure of what it had encountered. David acted quickly, redirecting energy to propulsion. The ship surged forward, slipping through the confusion and creating distance between itself and the approaching fleet. Smaller ships followed, hesitant and disoriented by the holographic decoys and sensor distortions. David realized that the combination of human creativity and quick thinking had slowed the fleet's advance and protected Earth. He felt a surge of pride and excitement. Humans, even in their simplest form, could influence the universe in ways the aliens had not anticipated. Even as he worked, David noticed more anomalies. Some ships were breaking formation, appearing to hesitate or retreat. He adjusted shields and energy flows again, improvising new tactics on the spot. The alien girl chirped continuously, her gestures guiding him subtly. David realized that teamwork between humans and aliens, even in this small form, could create powerful results. The combination of intuition, observation, and rapid decision-making gave them an advantage no machine could match. By late afternoon, the immediate threat was contained. The massive ship had pulled back, smaller crafts were scattered, and the fleet's coordination was disrupted. David allowed himself a moment to breathe. He had done more than stabilize a ship or confuse enemy sensors. He had actively influenced the outcome of a cosmic event, using intelligence, courage, and creativity. The alien girl chirped with delight, glowing brightly as she gestured toward him. David smiled, feeling a profound connection. He had started as an ordinary man, and now he was recognized as someone capable of remarkable things. But David knew the adventure was not entirely over. He studied the holographic displays, analyzing possible remaining threats. While the fleet was temporarily delayed, there were indications that other forces could arrive. Using his intuition, he began setting up contingency plans. He rerouted power, created additional decoys, and optimized the ship systems for rapid response. Every action relied on simple logic, observation, and human improvisation. He understood that humans' greatest strength was their ability to think creatively when faced with the unknown. As evening fell, David took a moment to observe the city below. The lights twinkled, ordinary and unaware of the events above. He felt a sense of pride and responsibility. Humans had the potential to rise to challenges far beyond what anyone imagined. Courage, ingenuity, and quick thinking could make a difference in even the most extraordinary situations. The alien girl chirped softly, almost as if acknowledging his thoughts. David realized that humans had earned the respect of beings far beyond Earth. Night deepened, and David decided to prepare for the next steps. He had learned much about the ship, the fleet, and the alien girl's abilities. He realized that his role was no longer passive. He was an active participant, capable of influencing events across space. He created a series of adjustments to the ship's defenses, ensuring that Earth remained protected even if he were not present. The alien girl watched, chirping approvingly. David felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he had ever experienced. Finally, he returned to his apartment for a brief rest. The token pulsed softly beside him, a constant reminder of the adventure and responsibility. He looked out at the stars above the quiet city, imagining the fleet that had been delayed, the ships that had been confused, and the knowledge he had gained. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, and he had seen it firsthand. The alien girl had trusted him, the ship had responded to him, and the universe had revealed that even ordinary people could make a difference. Sleep did not come easily, but when it did, David dreamed of distant planets, alien civilizations, and the knowledge that humans could shine in the stars. He imagined the little alien girl, glowing softly, guiding him through new challenges, teaching him, and learning from him in return. He felt a profound sense of connection to the universe and to humanity's potential. Courage, creativity, and intelligence could change outcomes in ways that machines and advanced beings might not expect. The next morning, David returned to the warehouse, ready for whatever might come. The token pulsed with energy, projecting the holographic map. He studied the fleet, noting movement patterns, possible reinforcements, and the positions of remaining ships. He realized that even if larger threats arrived, humans had an advantage in their unpredictability, ingenuity, and quick thinking. The alien girl chirped, gesturing toward him, and he knew that together they could face anything. Over the following hours, David guided the ship systems with careful precision. He created energy diversions, sensor distortions, and holographic decoys, confusing the remaining fleet. He used timing, observation, and rapid adjustments to manipulate the ship's perception, slowing their approach and protecting Earth. The alien girl followed closely, assisting in subtle ways, her glowing presence a constant source of encouragement. David felt a sense of pride and wonder at the possibilities of human creativity when paired with courage and determination. By late evening, the alien fleet had retreated, delayed, and disoriented by David's actions. The threat to Earth was neutralized, at least temporarily. David allowed himself a moment to breathe, realizing what had been accomplished. Humans had faced beings far beyond their technology and intelligence, and had succeeded using simple tools: logic, improvisation, courage, and creativity. The alien girl chirped softly, gesturing toward him in acknowledgement and respect. David smiled, knowing that humans had earned recognition on a scale he had never imagined. As night fell, David walked home under the quiet stars, carrying the token and the device. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction and anticipation. Humans were ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in potential. Courage, intelligence, and quick thinking could influence events across the universe. He reflected on the journey, from carrying groceries, to meeting the small alien girl, to defending Earth against a powerful fleet. Every step had proven that humans were capable of remarkable things. When he reached his apartment, David placed the token and device on the counter. Their gentle glow reminded him that the adventure was far from over. Somewhere, far above Earth, The alien fleet reconsidered its approach, respecting the ingenuity and courage of one human and his small companion. David realized that the universe was vast and full of unknown challenges, but humanity had qualities that could make a real difference. That night, as he lay in bed, David looked out at the stars and imagined the small alien girl watching from her ship. He felt hope and pride, knowing that humans had earned their place among the stars. The token pulsed softly beside him, like a heartbeat, and he knew that adventure, knowledge, and challenges awaited. He had proven something vital, that humans, even ordinary ones, could face the unknown with courage, creativity, and intelligence. The city slept quietly beneath him, but above, in the vastness of space, one small light flickered as if acknowledging his efforts. David smiled, drifting towards sleep, confident that humans were capable of remarkable things, and that the journey was only the beginning. Courage, ingenuity, and determination were more powerful than any weapon or fleet. Humanity had shown its strength, and David, an ordinary man with groceries in hand, had become a symbol of what humans could accomplish when they embraced their potential.